Many people ask me, what is the secret weapon that I use to get to have high performing teams? How do I get teams into the zone? How do I get them to where they're just whipping around and doing the things that they need to do? And this answer surprises people when I give it to them because it's really not as difficult as what they're making it out to be, right? A lot of organizations struggle because when they get a high performing team, oftentimes the first thing they do is they say, "Oh, you're a high performing team. Congratulations. We're going to reward you with pizza, or we're going to reward you with even worse, more work." Those aren't the answers that that team needs. They're not what the team's looking for. The team wants something bigger, better, and they want to have acknowledgement. And they want to keep cruising along and doing what they're doing best. They don't need you to interrupt, interfere, or cause disruption of what they're doing. They want to be able to remain focused on the goal. They want to keep their eyes on the prize. So how do you get to this point? Well, it starts with creating something very, very important. And this is called creating a container of psychological safety. Excuse me, but how do you get to psychological safety? That's the question. And one of the big things that I teach people, and when I'm doing certification classes, whether it's certified Scrum Master, certified Product Owner, it doesn't matter which class, facilitation course, one of the first things I talk about is creating this environment by building a team working agreement. Now, confession, I also have a PMP, so I have the traditional project management background. And I used to always say one of the most important things you could do was build a team charter, right? A team charter. These two kind of go hand in hand. A team working agreement should be short and sweet, a page or two, no more than that. A team charter should be very similarly short and sweet. But we need to understand what types of things go inside of a team working agreement, or what types of things go into a team charter. And you have to kind of understand what the document is in order for you to be able to best utilize it. So it's not just another corporate doc that gathers dust or something you put out on a drive somewhere. This literally is just like the organization has a North Star. This is the team's North Star. This is their ability to say, hey, this is the direction we're going. It's a living, breathing guide that keeps everyone aligned and helps them continue to crush goals. So, according to a study by PMI, this is really interesting. Teams with clear goals, like the ones that are outlined inside of a team working agreement or a charter, are 50% more likely to achieve product or project success. That's huge. So just by having a team working agreement, you've increased your odds of being successful by 50%. I think that's pretty awesome. So what comes inside? Well, the first thing you need to do is define your team's purpose and goal. Start with the big picture. Why does your team exist? What are you aiming to achieve? This clarity is crucial research. This shows that the team is, they have a clear purpose. They're dedicated. Teams with a clear purpose are 27% more likely to be high performing. So gather your team in for a brainstorming session. Ask, if we were wildly successful, what would that look like in a year? Distill the responses into a concise purpose statement or why we're trying to do things. And then set some smart goals, 3 to 5 is usually enough, that align with the purpose and help us get to where we need to be. Next, you need to outline and clearly define roles, accountabilities, and responsibilities. Ask who's doing that. Clearly define each team member's role and their decision making power. It's not about micromanaging people or putting people into boxes. I hear a lot of people say that, but it's more focused on team empowerment. So studies also show that role clarity can increase job performance by up to 25%. So this is another thing that if you're trying to get to the high performing team, people need to understand the roles and associated accountabilities. They need to understand what's in it for them. Now, a lot of people jump straight to RACI. While RACI isn't a bad thing, I think sometimes RACI can be abused and leaned on improperly. So for me, it's more along the lines of who do I turn to? And the way that I position this is even a little different than what I just described. I like to say, let's pretend for a moment that this is day one of your new job. If you had a quick start guide or getting started diagram that told you, Here are the products we work on. Here's the vision behind those. Here's our purpose. Here's what we're trying to do. Here are the people that work, and here are the people that you need to be aware of. Here are the meetings that we have. Here's our expectations. Here's our team norms and standards. Those types of things would be perfect. Speaking of which, the next step is to establish those teams norms and standards, those expectations. This is what many people refer to as the ground rules. How do we make decisions? How do we handle conflicts? How do we communicate? What are our communication channels and paths? These norms create a foundation for a positive, productive team culture. It creates the container. Make sure you don't skip this part. This is the secret sauce. So some areas to cover, like I said, how do we make decisions? What is our meeting cadence and structure? What are our communication channels and expected response times? How do we resolve conflicts? What is our conflict resolution approach? I think that if you do that, you're going to be in a much better position. Next is make sure that what you're doing in your team agreement aligns with what the organization is trying to do with regard to their products and services. That means you need to be aware of what products you're going to be working on. If your organization has a budget to work towards that project, what is that budget? Are you working in a technical sphere? Are you doing training? Are you going to be mainly processing tickets? Are you going to be building enhancements and new features? These are all things that you need to know. Once you have those things in place, then you can start talking about milestones, release schedules, cadences, sprint schedules, those types of things. And make sure you have timelines, deadlines, and things like that in play so that people know how to handle all those different things and they know how to build that agreement perfectly. And then finally, it's signing off on and implementing what your plan is. Now, a lot of people, when it comes to team working agreements, they say, okay, I got my head around it. I kind of get it. I know what I should be doing. But they implement it and they're like, oh no, we have to pivot. We have to change. And it's okay. The one thing about this document that's so cool is that you can measure how impactful it is and you can iterate, you can update it, you can change things if you need to. Because if you come up with a proper team working agreement, that's going to help you be incredibly successful. And it's going to allow you to focus on real world success and the things that you can actually do. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that you gained some value out of it. What I can tell you is team working agreement really is the secret sauce that helps the team get to high performing quickly. Now, it's not impossible to do it other ways, but this by far is the best way. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, learn more at AgileDad.com. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.